under interrogation. A group of dangerous men throw water on his face and ask him where he hid the girl and the money. When he doesn't answer, they threaten to stab his eye, so he announces he'll talk. However, the memories aren't back yet, so when he asks for a moment, the men threaten him with a hammer. Luckily, the glowing pebble finally shows up and Yi-jae learns this body belongs to a criminal organization with clients all over the world. They work as fixers, meaning they'll solve a client's problem through any means necessary, which may include murder. One day he fell in love with his boss's girlfriend, and when she mentioned wanting to escape from this life full of crime and abuse, he offered to run away together. He stole 10 billion from his boss and hid them in a safe place, but on his way to meet with the lady, he was captured by his co-workers. Realizing that he has this guy's amazing abilities, Yi-jae starts fighting everyone, using the chair as a weapon until it breaks. When he dodges an incoming knife, he causes a man to stab his partner, but after the initial shock he keeps on fighting. There are weapons and tools on the wall, so he turns off the main light and grabs a flashlight to fight with an advantage. A fierce battle in the darkness ensues and one by one, Yi-jae kills every single agent. Afterward, Yi-jae thinks that with this guy's abilities he could survive anything, so he should retrieve the money and run away. He retrieves his phone and steals a bike to escape, discovering that all this has been happening in the back of a truck. As Yi-jae speeds through the city, his boss learns his men failed and tracks Yi-jae's location through his cell phone. That location is then sent to all the hunters in the area, promising a juicy reward if they catch Yi-jae. Soon a chase begins through the city bridge and the agents open fire on Yi-jae, who dodges everything and hides behind a truck. Once he manages to appear behind the agents' cars, he uses the bike to disarm a guy, then he starts driving like crazy. The other hunter misses his shots and hits cars instead, causing lots of crashes. The truck that captured him also shows up and tries to block the bridge, but the cars crash against it and cause an explosion that Yi-jae simply jumps over. After leaving the bridge, a bunch of bikes and a police car start chasing him too. When he's about to reach a dangerous avenue, Yi-jae speeds up and causes a bunch of vehicles to crash, blocking the way for the cop and a few bikes. There are still a few bikers following him and more enemy cars blocking the streets, so Yi-jae enters a mall and speeds up until he's in the center surrounded by enemies. At that moment he notices an elevator, so he goes inside and closes the door right before another bike could hit him. When he reaches the roof, he makes a big jump and lands in a party pool, where his phone stops working. Now the enemy can't track him anymore. Then Yi-jae goes to meet with the woman at the pier. She immediately hugs him and Yi-jae senses how much the guy loved her. Yi-jae tells her where the money is so they can head there, only to be suddenly shot by her, revealing this was her plan all along. Once again Yi-jae wakes up in the dark room, finding Death laughing at him. However, he isn't bothered because he didn't give the woman the exact location of the money, so he plans to retrieve it during his next life. When Death shoots him, Yi-jae's fifth life starts in juvie. He's in a tiny cell and he can't help freaking out, but luckily a guard comes over to take him to his real cell. On their way there, the other prisoners throw a ball against the fencing as a threat, even looking at him creepily. In the cell, he discovers he's got cellmates and learns that he'll be released in 4 days. He's also told that a psychopathic killer is staying in the cell with them, and Yi-jae notices all the creepy art and books about psychopathic analysis on the shelves. At that moment the psychopathic murderer is brought back and Yi-jae is shocked to see it's Jinsang. Remembering his previous death, Yi-jae begins beating him up, but the other prisoners immediately pull him away. At that moment the glowing pebble finally comes to his mind and Yi-jae learns this body belongs to an MMA fighter. The guy's family was in some trouble with a gang and needed money quickly, so he accepted a deal. He took the fall for a hit and run and would get rewarded with 200 million after the trial. Since he was 18 he was still a minor in Korea, so the plan was to quickly be released on probation. While making the deal with the lawyer, a man watched them from the shadows while playing with a lighter. The guy turned himself in with a fake confession, but sadly during the trial, the woman who was hit died, so the judge sentenced him to 2 years of imprisonment for manslaughter. Later when the lawyer visited him in prison, the guy asked for 2 billion to keep quiet or he would tell the police everything. Another memory shows Yi-jae the arrival of Jinsang and how he said a bunch of creepy but dumb things as if he was pretending to be a psychopath to scare the others and be in control. Back in the present, Yi-jae starts laughing as he realizes Jinsang isn't a psychopath, he's here because he killed the high school boy. Yi-jae begins slapping Jinsang as he calls him out in front of the others, telling them the truth. Jinsang is too afraid to deny it and the rest of the cellmates beat him up for revenge. When they get time out in the backyard, other prisoners start bothering Jinsang too, which Yi-jae finds very satisfying. Later the group has carpentry lessons and a prisoner shoots the blade from his saw at Yi-jae, who dodges just in time. The blade ends up bouncing on the wall and killing another guy instead. Yi-jae yells for help and after the guards take the injured man away, all the other prisoners grab some tools while telling Yi-jae that the lawyer wants him dead. Ji-young immediately rushes out in fear before a fight ensues, and Yi-jae gets to enjoy the body's amazing MMA fighting skills. With quick and precise strikes, he fights all the prisoners at the same time, knocking them down one by one with a combination of punching, kicking, and using any object in the room. At that moment Ji-young comes back with a crowbar and Yi-jae realizes he wanted to help, so he decides to befriend him. That night, Yi Jae finds Jinsang in the washroom sharpening a tool to kill him. After punching him, Yi Jae considers killing him first, but that would get him more jail time. Instead, he decides to traumatize Jinsang by saying he sees the ghost of the dead schoolboy, sharing details of his previous life that only he would know. When he says the ghost will haunt him forever, Jinsang ends up wetting his pants in fear. Eventually the day of Yi Jae's release finally arrives, and before leaving, he gives Jinsang some milk, saying it was sent by the ghost. Outside, the lawyer is waiting for him with the money, but Yi Jae turns it down, telling him he wants to live a clean life from now on. Sometime later, he makes it to the pier and finds the money he hid in the other life, unaware someone is following him. Now he's ready to start a new life, so he rents a room and takes a nap. He wakes up when he feels his mother touching his face, but it turns out to be just a dream. At that moment his phone rings with a call from the mom of this body, so a crying Yi Jae accepts to visit her soon. Later at the station, Yi Jae separates the money into 2 bags and puts one away in a locker, which will be confiscated if he doesn't return after 4 days.